So you're in an interesting space, in my opinion, because when I first was introduced to you, I was wondering, I'm like, how are you guys finding value in agencies and marketing companies, PR companies? Because as having ran and owned one with my other co-founder, and we did really well, the value in the IP, I should say, the IP in it's hard because it's mostly relationship based.
Very.
And so I asked you, where do you see value? So where do you see value in these companies as a private equity person?
So there's a difference between operating and owning an advertising agency. So in the traditional space where a big fish bought a medium-sized fish, bought a small fish, and they were all ad agencies, there's a lot of egos, and we're seeing that right now in the market.
Oh yeah.
Mergers and acquisitions. This day, which brand are you from now? What email do I use? The big fish is now the big. Everybody's using this email, or oh, that brand doesn't exist anymore, or this CEO's out. That model is likely going to be heavily disrupted, not only because the world of private equity has come in, and I'll explain that more later, but also because AI is heavily disrupting the process of advertising.
Yeah.
There's a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
people that sell process in advertising. Project managers of all kinds, technical project managers, creative project managers, all kind of project managers. Those are being disrupted. Publicists, you may have needed 10 of them in the past. Now there's 3 AI publicists for every 3 publicists that you have at the firm. We ourselves as a company openly market to our clients and prospective clients. I've said to the advertising business, you can openly tell clients, yeah, we have 100-odd employees, like people, and we use something called not artificial intelligence, but augmented intelligence, and there's 200 more of them. What
Yeah.
do you mean? Well, we don't have a QA analyst that QAs our code anymore for the AI and dev team. That's all run by Claude or whatever Oscar is using today. And so, great.
What you using, Oscar?
Yeah, what are you using? He has an unlimited AI test budget, which is kind of scary.
Damn, Oscar, I
Everyone
want to
just
hook up
go.
with you.
Everyone goes to him. It's like, I want to test Claude. And my last week, my legal team went to him and said, "Hey, we got to test this new legal assistant
Yeah.
from Claude," and it works. And now the promise I've made and I have to write an email to the compliance team. Like, don't worry, nobody's job is at risk for contract reviews because none of us should really be contract reviewing without AI anymore.
Well, if they see a shipment of a bunch of Mac Studios, right? So you're building your own little server,
They're like,
and
oh
one of the
crap,
offices are, wait, what?
yeah, oh that's me. But I think in advertising businesses, at the end of the day, um, serve 2 purposes to our investment mandate. The first, financially speaking, they are still a cash flowing business, right? There's a cycle between when you pay vendors and when you get paid. Now, those cycles are harder to manage and harder to manage. You run an ad agency, clients.
I did.
They they like to use us as the bank,
Yeah,
right?
we live
You
afloat, maybe.
live through that. But in a combination of various, if you have an integrated agency, that float's manageable.
Yep.
If it's a pure creative agency, problematic because a lot of the stuff's prepaid. If it's a pure pay media agency, fees are low. It's run like a grocery. I call it a supermarket now. It's a supermarket, and that's also bad. But there is a float. Web and tech agencies typically lower cash flow, higher profit margins because they can constantly reinvent enterprise tools and clients kind of need them. PR agencies, again, typically uh, there is a float, but again, the revenue numbers are generally pretty small. Profit margins are there. If you combine them, though, then you've got a pretty happy balance. So
Mhm.
financially, they do make sense. Um, it's also something that is functionally needed in private equity. So we are seeing a dramatic shift in the way advertising is done. So for everybody out there, the boring world of Mad Men is a $1.6 trillion industry globally. It's $1 trillion enterprise nobody talks about, everybody hates, right? And everybody loves well, some Super Bowl commercials.
What'd you
Um,
think of the Coinbase one, where they basically had you doing karaoke to Backstreet Boys?
I think they may have taken the crypto.com ad a little too seriously. It's let's make something crazy too. I think that's the thing. Ad agencies are needed to entertain people. Good creativity. For better or for worse, I liked what Budweiser did. They took it a little. They took it from one extreme to the other.
Well, Post Malone drinks a lot of Budweiser.
Yeah,
Or was it Bud Light? Bud Light.
Bud Light, right? And you have like, and then you've got Levi's. The ads are those ads are back.
I like booty, so
Yeah,
yeah, it made sense.
wasn't too bad for people who like that.
It's like if you like butt, yeah, they
And
did a
then like
good job.
Duncan's usual
Oh my
star-studded.
gosh, the
How
Will
much was that
Hunting thing.
commercial?
My goodness.
Was it good? Debatable. But was it full of celebrities? The answer is how much did it cost? Did it work? Yes, because you're now talking about it, and we are talking about it. I think that the Coinbase ad was again that needs to be if you're an industry that's brand new,
Yeah.
you want to create something cool. You still need a good creative agency. I credit, for example, let's look at two new industries: Coinbase versus Claude. Those ads really good.
What do you think about the OpenAI ad?
I like
It ran earlier, and maybe it was just part of the normal cycle.
I like the Claude ads better because the Claude ads, well, definitely they were taking a stab at OpenAI for
Well,
sure.
yeah.
But the way that it made you think, and it's kind of intelligent in the way they cut in that humor where you're just talking clearly. If you weren't paying attention to your TV, you just notice that slight delay between the prompter and the humanized version of the AI. That was done by Mother, right? It's done by a storied creative agency. They know how to tell a story.
Oh, I didn't know they were the agency that did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you need to know how to you need to know how to story tell, but you also need to know how to
Very
buy the
much so.
media.
Yeah.
You also have to know how to do the influence. You also have to know how to do the social part of it. But anyway, this is what's happened in the last about 6 or 7 years globally as a trend, not specific to any market. So we look at markets around the world. We have offices in Singapore, we have offices in Bogota, we have offices in Santa Monica. So we are all over the world. In the past, when I first joined advertising 15 years ago, probably about 70%, 70, 80% of every brief was an RFP. Now, yes, some
That's
RFPs, there's a preferred agency and someone they want to work
I
with,
remember the RFP madness.
but you got an RFP.
Yeah.
And you did your job and you fought, you knife fight, a la Captain Kirk and Spock. You would knife fight at the Ponfar, and one of you would win. And big celebrations, everyone went back to work. And you did that again next week. And you did that 50 weeks in a row, and you wondered why you aged. So RFPs were great. Almost 80%, if not at least 3/4 of the industry got an RFP, and you would answer it. And barring just looking at the world of meritocracy alone, you would win on your merit. You go in there, it was a pricing game, it was a creativity game, it was a strategy game, and you impress the CMO or the VP of marketing or the VP of media, whoever you needed to do. Great. Fast forward 15 years. The only people left pitching out their work to agencies are the big boys, the Fortune 1000, the Fortune 5000 companies, because by rule and by compliance, they have to every X years, and also government. So think tourism boards, think government economic promotion, that kind of stuff, but also think Unilever and P&G and all those guys. They will always pitch their work, but the thing is, they're so big.
Yeah.
There's only so many people that can join.
Look at TikTok. We had that conversation. Look how many agencies they've burned through.
Yeah, there's one every few months. So the thing about advertising is it's also being walled off. Why is that, though, you ask? Because the brands that are being generated today, that are being birthed, think as far back as like an Oatly or a Poppy or anything else, like a Farmer's, whatever you want to think about. These are private equity owned brands, huh? And what do? They're not telling. They're asking that their brands find a cost-efficient solution. Generation one of private equity invested consumer brands that needed advertising, they would go out there and hire freelancers. They would hire it in-house. Then they realized, hey, wait, we're an AI company. We're an AI cybersecurity company. We don't do marketing really well. You know what? We need an agency.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they go and they source for an agency and they get the costs and the quotations back and they go to the board. And the board, which consists of their investors, go, wait a minute. We have one already. We've invested in one. It's in our investor pool. Okay. And so if you're an advertising business sitting on the outside, not being private equity owned, have no affiliation with private equity, you're missing out on almost 70% of a $1 trillion industry today, over $1.7 trillion industry today. in terms of deal flow to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing now in that market of advertising. There's consolidation of mid-size independent agencies. Our agency business, Helios Worldwide, sits on the board and is a shareholder of Worldwide Partners, which is one of the oldest independent advertising agency networks um, out there.
Yeah.
And the conversation we always have is, oh, being mid-market used to be great. Not too big to be too good for clients and pick up great work and do great work. Not too small to not qualify for the pitch. Nowadays, that's actually a detriment. Too landlocked, likely in one particular state or region of the States or in one country, and they're really good at it, but they can't service a global client who has a brief that no longer says U.S. It might say North America, and you're like, well, how do I Canada? As a lot of them are thinking about that,
Well,
or
you're
how do I
born
Mexico?
in Toronto, right?
Was
Yeah.
more about that later. And today, you're starting to see advertising agencies go, well, okay, I know what I have to do. Either use, if they are well managed, use the equity that they've built and the profits that they've built to launch a fund or accelerator, or join up with a, a private equity entity. Because think about it. If one particular ad agency in one way, shape, or form joins up with a private equity entity, you could access to hundreds, if not thousands, of portfolio companies. That's a great business development tool.
Yeah, it is.
And secondly, it is the trend that's going to occur where these briefs, these RFPs that are going to be issued out there that have no strings attached in general are going to be fewer and fewer and far in between. And so we predict that that market will continue to exist. Advertising agencies have started dying the day they were invented 120 years ago. Great. That industry will not die. It's just, how does it look like? Who owns and runs them?
Yeah.
And what is the purpose they serve? The purpose they serve is the same: to entertain people, to deliver that message effectively to a group of people in a cost efficient way, and to influence people in making purchasing decisions. That's not going to change. It's who is going to be part of it. If 40 years ago it was big, medium, small fish, same industry, all owned each other, the future will be you're just all different colored fish. It's like a koi pond, all kinds of fish. And so you're going to start seeing private equity money, LPs. They have their brands that they invest in. They also have a marketing communications arm. They may also have a influence arm as well. They're going to start investing in publications
I mean,
and all that too.
Binance bought CoinMarketCap, and I mean, so many brands own so many media outlets now. I mean, even the Golden Globes podcast award category, the majority was owned by the same company that helps produce it.
Yep, exactly it.
So, yeah.
And so in the old days, it was the event agencies own the award shows, right? They still do. And nowadays, you're starting to see the event agencies, the award agencies, the award shows, and the publications behind them all being part of the same sort of sphere of influence. And that's no different than getting a business off the ground. Again, if I'm sitting here as private equity thinking, wait a minute, 25 to 50% of this company is to do what? Marketing.
Yeah.
You can only do one of two things: take out the the ruler, or take out the marker, the proverbial marker, and cross out that line. Say no, which is not the smart thing to do. Or you can go, okay, how can we be really efficient about it from day one?
Yeah.
Well, we have a profit generating marketing communications infrastructure. Okay, not saying you can't use, not saying you have to use all of them. And we don't do that in our investment mandates. We don't tell our portfolio brands to go, we have to use all of us or else, we don't do that. But you have to pick something. They still have to go through the interview process. Everyone has to jive. There has to be a specialty that we have. We expect that they're going to use external vendors, but a lot of that capital is kept in-house.
Yeah.